Welcome back to Living by Design with Danette and Scott Beach. And today we have a very special guest, Ann Misiolek. And Scott, would you like to introduce Ann?
Yeah. So part of what we do to give back in the industry is to do something called Build My Future. And this is a partnership between the BIA and the National Association of the Remodeling Industry. I am a co-chair of that, and Ann is the chair for that. So we want to talk about today how we are helping the next generation be part of the wellness conversation and what this opportunity really is all about, because it's coming up in October again. It'll be the second year that we have done this as an association.
That's correct. October 1st.
Yeah.
We'll be at the Franklin County Fairgrounds this year, which is a great venue for us. It'll be closer for a lot of the schools to be able to attend. So we're really excited about it, really looking forward to it.
So start with just what is Build My Future?
Build My Future is truly a career exploration event. It is not a career fair as much as it's an opportunity for students and young adults to find out what the residential construction industry is all about. And we'll have 30 to 40 learning labs, as we refer to them, because each lab will have an actual hands-on activity that students will be able to participate in. And the beauty of the event really is that once the students arrive, they can wander however they want through these various learning labs. And if they see something that really lights their fire, they can hang out there and work there and talk to the people that are there. All of our members that are participating will have what the next steps are with their companies. What a lot of people don't realize is that the residential construction industry is one that, and most of the trade partners that we have, they can hire students and people right out of high school. They don't necessarily need to go to the tech schools. It's great to have that background, but it's not mandatory. And I know that the tech schools are getting really full and they're having a hard time meeting the needs of all the students in the high schools. And face it, it's your senior year. A lot of them want to spend most of their time at their home school. And this opportunity gives them other avenues to learn about residential construction and to meet companies right here in the Central Ohio market that they can potentially work for, not only after school, but in summer breaks and all those types of things. Internships, pre-apprenticeship programs, job shadowing, all those types of things that students are looking for now.
Nice.
So, why Build My Future? So, we have Intel. We have a huge health market here in Columbus. We're the headquarters for the limited brands, and there's so many opportunities. What is it typically that a high school student goes into construction intentionally, or has it been unintentional as a fallback kind of concept?
It's interesting that you say that, because I think almost any person in residential construction that you speak to, their pathway was never a straight line. Never. They thought they were going to do one thing, and then they find something else that really is what's important to them. And I think our industry, more than most, any background you bring into our industry will help you, whether it's a good math education or sciences or even English, because we are constantly communicating not only with our crews and that type of thing, but you guys have to communicate with homeowners all the time. You have to be able to communicate well and all those types of things. So it's interesting to see the people that came through last year. One of the biggest comments I heard was, I didn't know that was residential construction. That was considered residential construction. When you think about it, all of our homeowners associations and our NARI associations, although they're called builders and remodelers associations, really about 1/3 of that are actual builder companies. The balance of that 2/3 are all the service companies that support them.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And you have to think
So
about it, it's
many.
from the time that they're starting to market a property or market what they do, all the way through closing on that property and financial institutions. So, there's attorneys involved, but there's also so many pieces to that pie that students right out of high school can start working in, and they just don't realize that it's an opportunity to do that. I think that's one of the biggest things.
So it seems like the Generation Z is very mindful of the environment. They really want to be a part of a change, and they look at boomers and the like and say, look what you guys have done to us.
Yeah.
But they're really concerned, and they talk a lot about making a change when it comes to sustainability and renewability and the environment of multifaceted about it. Or even just, hey, we all matter, that, pay people a living wage, just all these different facets. So I think part of why we're doing Build My Future is about being intentional in that conversation.
Definitely. Right.
We're saying to these high school students that instead of thinking about the building trades or related support industries as fallbacks to an occupation,
Right.
instead being intentional and being part of right out of high school, that conversation to make changes.
Right.
And we're saying, here's a path to really creating the world you want.
Right.
Literally building the world you want.
Literally.
And I think that's really cool compared to just, not there's anything wrong with being, at Costco or some kind of big box store, but saying, hey, the skilled trades and related associate members, there's a real awesome career trek.
Definitely. You mentioned Intel and some of the other technological entities that are in Central Ohio, and how we really have a lot of different opportunities. And what we like to refer to is that's true, but they all have to have some place to live at night.
That's right.
They all have to come home to some place. And that's our responsibility as residential construction people. With the pairing of the BIA and NARI, we have residential construction covered from the smallest mom-pop kitchen bath place all the way up through those multifamily builders of the world.
Yeah.
And so the vast variety that you're talking about there, from nice custom remodeling and those types of things to, 3-story multifamily units, it's overwhelming. And I think for our service companies and all those partners, trade partners that we have out there, they've had to learn and grow to cover such a dynamic market. And it's funny, I'm technically retired from this industry, although it doesn't appear to be so.
Well, now you get to do things you're passionate about.
I do. I get to do things I'm passionate about.
And that's awesome.
It is. And when I got a certification in green building from the National Association of Home Builders in 2015. A decade ago, we were talking green building back then. And that's when the green requirements came out. And one of the other big things is aging in place. That's become a huge conversational thing. And sorry, kids, but your parents might need your help in figuring that out.
Absolutely.
And just the volume of things I learned in the association. And I was worked for a building products distributor. Yeah. And so you're working with large manufacturers. And I believe that one of the things that students don't necessarily comprehend is how cutting edge the real estate, residential real estate is. They just don't. They don't understand that when I first started in this industry, we weren't building plastic decks, Trex, AZEK, all those TimberTech, all those types of decking products weren't available. Siding products, we were still using aluminum. And it's just gone through so many different things. And all the major manufacturers are always moving forward.
Yep.
That's right.
And to be a part of that has been really exciting for me. And I'm in that boomer realm, but I think that kids who are really feeling that, there's just so many aspects of our industry that they can find a spot that really excites them, whether it's in the design part where you're trying to design for that aging in place situation, or a greener home, building a better structure. It has to be durable. It has to, last for more than 100 years is what they're talking about. And so we build things so differently today than we did when our parents were, and a lot of the homes in Central Ohio were built 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. And you're in the world of remodeling them. And when you step into that, there's a lot of things you have to consider when you're trying to bring that into that more friendly environment, that sustainability. There's just so many. We weren't even putting insulation in these homes years ago. And people really don't realize how much the shift has happened.
What I like is there's so much opportunity for young people to find their own niche, like you said.
Exactly.
And they can actually become an artist in, like, for example, tile laying. You can't just slap tile. You got to know what you're doing.
You do.
To do a really well job, it needs to be precise.
Exactly.
And you need to know how to use the tools in order to make it precise.
Right.
And you can become an artisan, a tile artisan, which will change the way someone feels and experiences in their home, their office, any type of a place, whether it's commercial or not. Because if the tile is a bad job, it just makes it feel cheap.
Yeah.
And we've all gone into restaurants or commercial places, for example,
right,
where you're looking at the tile, especially in the bathrooms, and you're going, wow, no one cared here.
What were they thinking?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even something, it's not simple, but one of those details like that, it's a really big deal in the whole scheme of how things come together.
Yeah. One of the educators that I met out at our event last year, I've talked to them several times through the year now to help them with students that they're working with. And one of the things that she said that her students came back and were asking so many questions about, it was they're suddenly looking at their own homes differently.
Yeah.
They're going in there and going,
something's off.
and it's like, that's perfect. That's exactly where you want them, because that questioning mind is what we need in our industry, because we want people to care.
How can this be done better?
We're losing serious craftsmen that are aging out, and we need people taking their places. And a lot of the young people don't realize how great you feel when you see that before and after. Yeah. And remodeling, I think, is one of the best places that you see that. Those differences between what this place looked like originally and what it now has become, it's just incredible. And I hear people all the time that worked on the job going, I am so proud of this project. And they maybe did one little piece of it. But for them, it was complicated. Yeah. They had to figure it out. They had to maybe innovate. And that's the other thing that students are they want to be innovative. They want to think of themselves as being innovative. And that's totally what our industry is. Yeah. We are constantly innovating, if not to meet a need, to meet whatever the codes are now requiring, because things change that way as well. And the codes are working to make things not just safer, but to make them more durable, to make them last a lifetime. Yeah. And make them sustainable and green and more energy efficient. Those are key things that these students are being taught in schools. And it's like, well, here, this is how you can take what you learned about how important energy efficiency is and put it into practice, and be a doer instead of just talking about it all the time, but actually participating in it. And that's really exciting for kids. You just see their faces light up. When we were out there, it was just so much fun to see how engaged these kids were. And we had over 400 students out there for our first show. We were like, oh my goodness, this is kind of overwhelming, but our members loved it. We got such great feedback from both sides of the equation. It was great.
From everything, even as simple, excuse me, our assistant, Brenda, she has a son. His name is Thomas. And he is into lighting. Lighting is really important to him. And so from what I understand, he would even go around and change all the different light bulbs and move them from one room to another, whatever else. Now, he's a high school student.
Right.
But my point is that whatever you have an inclination towards, there is an area in this industry that if you have a passion towards something, you may think that, lighting or whatever, small. Lighting is huge. It accounts for so much of the aesthetics and how people feel in their homes, in commercial spaces, no matter whether it's a restaurant, doctor's office, hospital, everything. It makes such a big difference. And so even having a fascination with light bulbs and lighting can become a huge opportunity.
It really can. It really can. And I think that one of the things that is so much fun to see is a student that maybe they're not great in their academics, but they go out there and they find that thing that is like, I didn't know I could do this for a living. And I'm like,
that's true.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You can do it for a living and you can become an entrepreneur and own your own business. Our industry lends itself to that.
Yes.
So much more than so many. And the thing that's amazing about it is that a trade partner once told me that, I can't do all the work that comes my way.
Yeah.
He was an electrician and he's like, I've got as many crews as I can possibly handle. And one of his guys stepped out on his own after he'd worked for him for probably 5 years, and he started his own business. And they're trading business back and forth. People think that we are such a competitive business. And there's a competition to it, but we all kind of understand when something is right for us. And
that's true.
And we're good about passing it off to somebody else if it's really not what we do, because we have become a little bit more focused on what we know our priorities are and that sort of thing. And every business person, every company that I have ever worked with says, I have to turn away business. I don't have enough help. I don't have enough people. And it's true.
I mean, we remodel homes and build, and there is such a shortage in the industry of people in HVAC, electricians, plumbers. I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy, and you don't want just anybody. You want people that care, that are going to do it right and go the extra mile, that actually care about what they're doing. And so having a younger generation come in that cares about the environment, that cares about the things, that actually has an attitude of caring is a huge help.
It is a huge help.
It's a huge help.
It is.
And I love that this event is open to not just boys.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yay. Go, girl power.
Yeah.
People on our committee are female.
Yeah.
And Women in Remodeling is a big
sponsor
a really big
deal,
of the event.
Yep.
And not only that, but we had the School of the Deaf.
That's right.
Bring some students on the job shadow. And I think
that was a wonderful
experience. Space for so many
there
in
are.
the industry.
Yes.
And we're saying welcome and come learn and experience what is possible.
Right.
And see other people in the industry like you.
Yeah.
And connect in that way.
Exactly.
So that's what's super great about this event.
Yeah. Yeah, there really are no limitations. It's funny too, because I have a lot of trade partners that I talk to that I try to get interested in this, and they're like, "Oh, I would love to get kids right out of high school," because sometimes if they go to these technical training schools or they go to these other places, then I got to retrain them on how I need them to do it. And I'm like, I get it, because they have a specific methodology, and for them it's the right way, and it's the way that it works for them, and all those types of things. And it's like, I love getting young people right out of high school, because their key needs to be asking questions.
Humble and teachable.
Know.
Exactly.
That's right.
Being curious.
Being curious, asking the questions. Don't think you need to know it all. They don't expect you to know it all. They want to train you.
Right.
And, I tell kids all the time, if you have a question, ask. They will be thrilled that you're asking questions, because it tells them that you're engaged,
right,
and you're understanding that there's things you don't know,
right,
and that's an important aspect of what we do every day. Yeah. If you get instructions to go do something and you're like, I'm not real sure what they mean by that, ask.
Clarify.
Yeah, clarify. Yeah. And because one of the things I learned a long, long time ago when I was in this industry is as we get further into our careers, we throw out, it's almost as bad as the government with all their acronyms, and they throw out all these phrases and all this kind of stuff. And people don't necessarily understand those phrases if they haven't been living your life and in your world. And so it's really important that you use common phrases to train and to talk to people and those types of things. And especially in our industry, when we've been doing stuff for a long time, they're like, oh, you just do this. They act like it's this, oh, you just do this. And I can just see these eyes get big. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Can you explain that a little bit, more in detail? And they're like, oh, yeah, sure, because they don't realize that what's common for them is not necessarily common for that young student. And I think that's one of the reasons that I think students also shy away is because maybe they haven't had any hands-on experience in building anything, in using a hammer and using tools that we use on a regular basis. The boomer generation grew up having to do repairs at home and doing stuff themselves. And these middle generations have not really done that as much. Yeah. And I think a lot of them feel a little taken aback. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. They don't expect you to know this. You just have to say, hey, what do I do with this? That kind of thing. Yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, it's cool.
Our learning lab will be again showcasing and letting the students actually use pneumatic, in this case, power battery-driven nailers. They love that.
Yeah, it's
a lot
cool.
of them have never even used something like
that.
And so it's just saying, hey, here is a real tool.
Right.
And have at that with safety glasses.
Yes, of course, with all the safety gear. Well, and it's funny.
Aim this direction.
Yes. And it's funny you should say that, though, because one of the things when I'm talking to our members about doing a learning lab, and they're like, well, I don't know what I want to do. I said, okay, pick your favorite tool or favorite thing that you like to do on a job. Yeah. Show them that. You're excited about it because it's your favorite thing.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. I'm like, yeah, you may do it every day, but you need to understand that some of these kids have never done it before. Yeah. And it'll be really exciting for them to do these things. And he's like, oh yeah, I guess maybe so, So it is, and it is fun. And that way they tend to be more engaged when it's one of their favorite things to do.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, tools are always fun.
And so how does a student or parent or educator come to find more information?
Okay. Well, hopefully they have gotten it at their school by now, but if not, we recently launched our website, which is buildmyfuturecentralohio.org.
Yes, .org.
Org.
I was searching but doing .com.
Yeah.
It's .org.
Yes, because Build My Future Central Ohio is a nonprofit. We are a nonprofit organization of the two entities. So, they can go there. There's some video of last year's event. It's really exciting to have our own pictures and our own video up on this website now. But there's registration information there. And one of the things that students need to understand in particular is that they can sign up as an individual. They don't necessarily, if there's school, because I know busing and there's some things that can be a struggle for students, for schools. And so if they're own home school isn't going to take a busload of kids, which is what we had probably the most of, they can sign up as an individual. I mean, we had homeschoolers that were in there as well. We had 2 or 3 different groups of homeschool students that came because they signed up individually. We had one student from one of the high schools because he wanted to go and his school wasn't going to be able to. So he and his dad came out and they loved it, So we do tell people you're going to want to give yourself 2.5 to 3 hours to really do it justice for yourself, to be able to really walk around, see everything, participate in the different things. We feed them, we give them lunch, so they don't have to worry about that.
This is at the fairgrounds.
It is at the fairgrounds.
Close in
It's
proximity
very
this year.
close this year.
Right on.
Yeah, really quick and easy to get to. And yeah, so we're starting to get a lot more interest from a lot of the schools on the east side of town that made going out to our other location last year difficult.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh yeah, I've heard of people talking about this and we're going to get our kids. I'm like, yes, that's what we want to hear. That's exactly what we want to hear.
That's great.
Because we want to be able to partner in the long run our businesses with these various schools.
Yeah.
So that they're not traveling across the city to go to a job shadow day. They are working right there in their own communities. All of our businesses have locations and do things in all these different communities.
Yes.
And it's crazy to just narrow it to these are the only people you can work.
Yeah.
That's craziness. So we're not in that world. We're in a world where we want to make sure that the communities are benefiting from these kids attending our stuff. We want them to understand that they're going to work right in their own communities.
That's nice.
And parents love that. You know, they're excited for their kids when they can, you know, show the siblings and their friends that, hey, this is a really cool thing. And it's fun to hear them talking about it at school. That, yeah. Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Ann,
Sure.
for coming
Really
on
appreciate
the
it.
show.
Appreciate
And
the time.
we look for having a lot of people go to that website.
That would be awesome. We would.
And once again, your website?
It is buildmyfuturecentralohio.org.
Right on.
Yep.
Terrific.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ann.
It was a pleasure.
Boxland Media. Think big.